When deciding whether or not to be fiscally sponsored and who to be fiscally sponsored by, one of the most important considerations for any project is what are the fees and what are the costs. So the first thing that's important to understand is the two forms of fiscal sponsorship, which are Model C and Model A. So Model C fiscal sponsorship is the simplest form. Some people think of it as like pass-through fiscal sponsorship, where basically whoever the donor is, whether it be a foundation or an individual that's giving that money is received by the nonprofit on behalf of the fiscal sponsor, so that whoever is donating to a 501c3 and getting the tax write-offs and whatever that they need. And that money is then turned around and dispersed to the project. That fiscal sponsor is still responsible for filing taxes on all of that money and making sure that the project is in compliance with the laws and all of these things. But essentially, the project is operating individually and is legally separate. So usually this means that it's not going to be covered by the nonprofit's insurance. If it has employees, those employees are going to be employed by the organization itself, whether that be an LLC or an individual or whatever it is. An important consideration with Model C fiscal sponsorship is you have to work with your tax preparer to make sure that those funds that you receive are not being claimed as income. So that's just an important thing for you to think about if you're choosing Model C. Model C, of course, is going to be less expensive, and it can range anywhere from 3% to about around 8%, depending on the organization you work with and what you're getting with that relationship. With Holistic Underground, we're about in the middle at 6% for Model C. Model A fiscal sponsorship, which is more like full service, right? You're getting a lot more. That's when all of the back end is basically handled by the nonprofit fiscal sponsor. So this includes payroll of any employees that you've hired, including yourself as the leader of the project, the payments that are made to contractors. All of the money lives in the nonprofit and it never actually touches the bank account of the individual or LLC. So it's never going to be something you have to worry about when you're filing your taxes. All the taxes, compliance, everything is handled by the nonprofit. You're going to get a debit card from the nonprofit account, but it has your project's name on it. So you can do all of the spending and expenses directly from that account. You'll have your own bank account within the nonprofit's bank account system, and that will allow you to log in, see how much money you have, what you've raised, where you're at with your budget. And that nonprofit fiscal sponsor, at least in our case, but in many others as well, is going to actually have an in-house bookkeeper or someone that's working with you to check on your budget, to make sure that things are being categorized correctly, so you can see, okay, how much have we spent in this, how much have we spent in that, and then when it's time to report to your grant funders or whoever it is, that can then be turned into a fiscal report with the help of the fiscal sponsor as well. And there might be other benefits as well, like we talked about earlier, whether that be a network of other resources that this fiscal sponsor is going to provide.